All right, welcome to the As Yet Unnamed podcast. The reason it's called As Yet Unnamed is because I still don't know what we're calling it. So if you guys have any suggestions, we are open to hearing it. Today I'm excited to address a couple of cool topics. I want to first of all introduce everybody in the room. We got Mr. Ron over here.
Oh, hi.
Joining us again, Sam.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
We got Sean over here hosting us at Fourth Corner.
Well, howdy.
And our special guest this week, our first special guest, is a poet. She goes by Casey McWilliams. Would you like to say hi?
How's it going?
It's going good. So before we get started today, I just want to talk about The Boondocks. You guys seen that TV show?
Oh, a long time ago.
Man, it's been a long time for me too. It's actually one of my favorite memories of being like 19 to 23 or something, just watching this TV show. I know pretty much every single episode except for the fourth season. Fuck the fourth season. But the exciting thing is that Aaron Magruder, the show's creator and the person who drew the comic strip, because it was originally a comic strip, he just got approved by HBO for 2 seasons. 2 new seasons of The Boondocks.
HBO.
By HBO.
Damn.
I'm so excited. It's going to be so fucking hard hitting. There's going to be no punches pulled.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is if it's HBO,
No
they don't really
filter.
give a shit. Yeah, there's no filter.
Not at all.
There's probably gonna be some tits and dicks in it too.
Oh, I imagine so. They did that even on comedy, or rather Cartoon Network, or Adult Swim rather. Yeah, they had just Granddad swinging dick in one of the episodes where he's like doing, I don't know, jazzercise or something in the living room. He's high as fuck on cannabis. It's really funny. Anyway, I just wanted to bring up something that excites me. I'm really excited Aaron Magruder's getting back to it and doing his TV show. I'm really excited that he's going to be on HBO and more or less kind of uncensored. And I'm glad that he's going to be running the show again.
I feel like it's a perfect time for them to bring back the show.
I mean, there's
with-
so much fuel with Trump and everything. Like,
So much controversy in the world.
yeah, there's so much to write. And like,
They're
I
gonna
think that-
shit all over it.
Yeah, I think the hard part of like being the writer for that show is going to be like pinning down what you want to talk about. Because in the last, I don't know, again, I think season 4, which I don't count because Aaron Magruder wasn't involved, but I think that came out in like, I don't know, 4 years ago or something like that. And so it's been like quite a while since Aaron Magruder's actually touched anything political or anything like social commentary. And so there's just so much fuel for his fire. I'm super excited to see what he's going to be working on and what topics he's going to touch on. And speaking of topics, we got Casey, a poet, here with us. So tonight we're going to be talking about our creative process and how we go about creating art or poetry or in the case of Merit Parcel. By the way, we're here at Fourth Corner Productions. Yeah.
Plug.
So in the way of Merit Parcel, how we go about doing things. And so, I don't know, did you want to take some lead on this?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you describe for our audience who you are and what you do a little bit?
All right. I'm Casey McWilliams at Casey Didn't Know on Instagram. I'm a improv poet, and I do improv poetry on an old school Smith Corona typewriter. And basically, it's just free forming. I don't have any preconceived idea of what I'm going to write about. I just have you come up and you pick a topic, and I write you a topic on any poem.
A poem on any topic.
Poem on any topic. and it's basically any topic, any price. And if you think it's not worth a lick, then you can just have a piece of art. If you really don't like it, you can burn it, or we can burn it together and dance around and have fun with it.
So how many poems have you burned?
None.
None. No poems burned?
Well, actually, I did.
How many of your audience burned? Because that's the better question. She's not going to burn any of her own poems.
I'll recant on that. I have burnt my own poems, but I have not had anybody that I've written a poem for burn it.
Well, I mean, that means you're shooting a perfect game. I'm not into sports, so that's probably a terrible metaphor.
I must be doing pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know if you relate sports to busking.
That was a
Poetry,
home run
poetry,
right into the basket for a field goal.
It's pretty exciting though.
Score!
It's as far as a creative outlet,
yes.
it's something that I'm definitely passionate about, and it's cool to be able to instantaneously relate to strangers on such a deep level, like people that I've never met, don't know anything about. I've made laugh, I've made cry.
Yeah.
I've shared intimate moments, and it's kind of breaking the walls down of those of this small talk that exists in our like day-to-day conversation. It's
Yeah.
like cutting straight to it.
And like getting
And-
to know somebody genuinely.
Yeah, and sharing in moments in a matter of minutes, like a really soulful experience with somebody I had no idea even what their name was.
Yeah. I find what you do to be honestly truly fascinating because not only do you like write at home and like when you feel things, which is when I feel the most inspired, but you also do it like impromptu for other people. And so my writing style is like I go home and I'm pissed off or frazzled or like I'm thinking about this subject that's bothered me all day and I go home and I just can't not write about it. And I have to like put all my thoughts onto paper and this and that and the other, like just essentially like outline the whole issue that I'm having at that particular moment. And I know you do poetry like that as well, but
Yeah.
how does it, what's the difference between doing like impromptu poetry for others versus the stuff that you do yourself? And where does your creative flow come from in both ideas?
It comes from something bigger than me or any of us. It's something that I just channel and I feel in the moment. And it was actually when I started writing heavily, it was like a few years ago after a psychedelic experience. I wrote down like I've exchanged my lighter for this pen, and just having the tools to do so, to have that creative outlet at my disposal. As soon as something comes to me, I have to write it down.
Yeah.
It's not something that I can think of and write about later on. It's something that is very instantaneous. And so as far as the difference between writing for myself and writing for other people is actually quite similar. There isn't much difference. It's something that I just do. I don't even.
That's really cool, honestly.
And it comes down to vulnerability. Like vulnerability is the key to both of those both polarities between writing for myself or writing for other people. When I write for myself, I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable with myself.
Yeah.
When I'm writing for other people, I'm both allowing myself to be vulnerable and allowing them to be vulnerable with me.
Have you ever had anybody just
feel that.
steal a poem from you? Just like right when you're like, what do you think? And they're looking at it and they just, everyone,
Yeah, I have. I've had people run off with poems. I have a stack of poems that people was asked for and never picked up, and it just goes in my collection. It's like, it's all memories. It's all part of the experience. It's all part of like why I do what I do. It doesn't upset me or anything. If someone were to take off with a poem, I'd probably just laugh and all right, enjoy it. You
Free
know?
words.
Yeah, I don't do it. I don't do this for the money. I do it because my soul needs it.
Which she actually makes every now and again a good killing. She made $100.
Oh, I was just thinking of that.
Oh,
I
man.
shouldn't lean on the microphone. I was just thinking about that though the other day at the party when she
Oh yeah.
got
Oh, yeah.
big guy for $100 on a poem. Like he
Yeah.
wasn't expecting her to have her typewriter like a present, and then he was
Yeah.
like,
And he's like, write me a poem, bitch.
"I'll
and-
give you $100 and will you tell the story?
Yeah,
You were present
yeah,
before you were there.
This guy,
I'm just hearing it from
this
you."
friend of ours, he didn't mean any harm, but he was like, write me a poem, bitch. And I was like, all right, well, since you insulted me and my craft, I'm gonna not let you pick a topic like I normally do.
And now the price is $100.
And now the price is $100.
Yeah, I remember hearing you say that
And
specifically.
you
Yeah, and he like it like somehow the conversation got on the wayside. You're like, now my price is $100. And I was like, hey man, give him a little nudge. I was like, only $100, man. And he fucking reached into his pocket and pulled his wallet out and was like, oh, there it is. There's my 100. And he tried to throw it on the table, but it fell off the table. So from your perspective, I'm sure it looked like he threw the money at you.
Yeah.
No, but he just tried to put it on the table. And,
So I picked it up.
He was really
and
drunk.
I said, all right, we'll be right back. And ran out to my van, to my typewriter,
I wish we
which
had
I have
that
on
poem.
hand all the time because I take my work everywhere.
I wish we had that poem. Do you take photos of all the poems that you make, or just like the ones that mean a lot?
I
or-
usually try to. I more so take pictures and post on my Instagram or Facebook if it's something.
What's the Instagram name?
At Case You Didn't Know.
Case you didn't know, plugging it. So I know you and I have been back and forth about this. you've been nervous about it all day. Do you have a poem that you would like to recite for us, or maybe we'll get to that later, and you can kind of rummage through your phone while we talk?
Let's hear about like.
I want to hear about Ron's creative
Yeah.
process because
Oh my!
if you guys don't know, there's 4 of us in the band, or the 4 of us. There's 5 of us here, but there's 4 of us in the band. Casey,
Which band?
one. The band is Merit Parcel.
Plug.
And so Ron actually wrote a song called "Belong." I'm pretty sure it's going to be featured on the next album. But what was like the creative flow that
What
you
is
had to
it
go
called?
through to get that "Belong"?
Yeah, so with most of the things I do, it's inspired by depression.
Oh, I second that.
Basically, instead of going home and cutting myself, I just write a song about it. It feels great. Yeah, I'm the
cathartic.
emo one in the band, guys. There, thanks. You didn't know this? Jesus.
And if
Well,
you
nobody
guys don't
can
know,
see your swoopy hair.
yeah, and if you guys listening to this don't know if he's joking or not, welcome to the club.
Yeah, we don't know if he's joking either. We can tell he's nervous because he's doing his high pitched voice thing.
Oh shit! All right, I'll lower it out for you guys there.
No, but
Please don't.
But so like, did you come up with the riff first and then the lyrics later? I know that it had the story, the lyrics in and of itself has something to do with.
No,
like
most of
your
the
friend?
time, like the lyrics are the forefront. I think there's a lot of lyrically driven shit. Like I try to find music to fucking hit the feeling kind of afterwards or whatever.
So you write the lyrics first for the most part.
Yeah, I'm stupid. Whatever. You
That's
know,
not stupid.
stupid.
I'm
I
jealous.
think that's how a lot of songs get created.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
but
like
still.
That's actually
somebody
how,
comes up with a good hook in their head one day because of something, and they jot the
Yeah.
hook down, and then they write some more lyrics for it, and then they put some music to it. Or-
Yeah.
So all of you musicians or songwriters are essentially poets as well.
Yeah.
It's
in a sense.
poetry and song lyrics go hand in hand.
And for me, I can write lyrics really well, as I talked about a few minutes ago, and I love playing guitar and bass and stuff like that. And I come up with really cool riffs, in my opinion. But for me, the hardest part is like getting a
In
cool
his
riff and
opinion.
writing lyrics to it, or having lyrics and then writing a riff to it, and then juxtaposing those two together. And actually, the song that we play, Catharsis, that I wrote. It's actually a juxtaposition lyrically of 2 different songs that I was like, oh, this first part of the song is really sad. So it's empower, embolden like the second part of it. And then when we were doing practice one night, the actual music, the riff, the guitar riff came from just Sean being like, play me something. And I started kicking this thing out and I was like, that sounds cool. I'm gonna mess around with this key and see where it goes. And boom, it was all said and done.
So Ron, I'm curious. Do you like turn all the lights out and
no.
like a single
Candles.
candle? Well, you know, like
I don't even
spirit
have
you sit
the
there,
darkness
to me, the
surrounds
muse.
me.
or do you just like sit on the toilet with your guitar?
He sits.
Or,
I'm pretty sure he sits on a 5-gallon bucket in a cold shower
Well, visually
to emulate the tears.
Visually speaking, that's exactly what I go for. You know, when I'm trying to write any song, whatever. But typically I don't gotta sit on a toilet because I pretty much smell. So a toilet is anywhere I go. I should probably shower more often.
He's not really
but-
lying about that. On tour, we actually had to take your socks out of the van. You remember that? And put them in the battery box on the side of the van because it was stinking up the joint.
Yeah.
He's not
You
lying.
still own those shoes.
And why do I want to go on tour with you guys?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We've
That's your
been
fault,
trying to
damn it.
convince you that
Not
you don't,
to.
but you're very
Yeah,
reluctant.
You're like,
I'm still confused
no,
on
I
why you
want
think
to,
you
and we're
would
like,
want to.
I promise you don't.
It's like, oh, I want to hang out with the boys until we start farting and yelling.
Yeah,
Usually simultaneously.
until I'm being like a calculated asshole instead of just a casual blasé asshole like usual.
Which I'm not sure which is my favorite, but I like both of them.
See, all this just kind of intrigues me more than anything.
Well, don't fret your pretty little head.
You can do the biography. What's it called when it's just a band? It's not like a biography. It's
No, it's probably something shitty.
Behind the music.
Biography.
a biographic.
documentary.
Yeah, there it is. Thanks.
Oh, actually, that's
Wow.
not a bad idea.
I ate a bunch of Brussels sprouts before coming over here.
They're not mushrooms. What are you out of your mind?
See, I'm already pre-exposed to your guys' bullshit.
They might have been
so-
mushroom Brussels sprouts. I don't know. Yeah.
So Sam, tell us about your creative process.
Well, I think Ron touched on something, even though he was being a little awkward about doing it. With his creative process,
awkward?
in that, for me, my creative process generally comes out of like strong emotional content, one way or another. Whether it's like a positive emotion or one that would be seen as negative. Not that I like to put positive and negative on emotions because they're just emotions and they happen. But and I've always written poetry, not that I share it with many people, so it's kind of fun to be here with Casey. I've been watching your little poetry creation process as it happens and your adventures with it and stuff. I've been a little jealous almost because
Wait, her adventures have been jealous, or you've been jealous of her adventures?
I've been jealous of her
Okay.
adventures in this like poetry, busking, and creating thing, and I love the analog. I love the analog nature of it with an actual typewriter and this. I write everything down on my phone, right?
Do you
Well, that's
do you
how-
have
that's-
anything that you might want to share later in the show?
Maybe I would have to look.
Yeah.
This is the problem is that I write stuff down on the notepad on the phone and then like I lose the phone, and the notepad's like one of those things that doesn't save itself to a cloud or anything. So like when I lost the phone at Doug's,
Yeah, you gotta back that on
that was like a lot of
That's
stuff.
the problem with
Like
burners.
I
folks.
lost the original lyrics to Battle Cry when I lost that phone. You know what I mean? Like
Totally.
you now are the only person that have the lyrics to Battle Cry, or it's in like an email or something.
Oh,
But,
we
like,
wrote-
I think
you
I got a
wrote that
text of
song?
it still. Yeah, he wrote the lyrics to it.
so like there is this fallible nature to what I do most of my writing on, whereas I can go back into like the teenage years stuff in the barn at my dad's.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I might be pretty rodent ridden
man.
at this point and whatnot, but like there's gonna be all the stuff from like Poetry Club and all the poetry
You were
magazines.
in Poetry Club?
Yeah,
I was
I
the-
didn't know any
I
of
was
this
the
about
lead
you.
editor of the poetry magazine for like 3 years in my high school.
Man, you were just filled with surprises. I remember the day I learned that you were a b-baller.
Now I'm slightly
B-boy.
intimidated.
B-boy, that's what it is.
B-boy, yeah, I was a
He's
break
pretty good
dancer.
at chess too.
I'm okay at chess.
You
I
did
did
LARPing
get my
for a
ass
little while,
kicked
too?
like 3 times by
Wait,
Swampy
let's
with
bring
the
back this
same
LARPing thing.
the
man.
4-part
Can we talk
move.
about that?
Oh, yeah.
LARPing's awesome, and that
No, he-
that hinge pins right on this creative process thing, because LARPing for me is this real blend of like theater and all the creativity that comes with like theater and
And you're a big
I just
angry
don't know
dude.
if I like the
Dude.
word LARP.
Do we all have
live
some sort
action
of,
action
role
roleplay.
play.
No, I get what it means, but I'm like,
This
the
is
word
when I
is
wish
just-
we had visuals.
It just sounds
Unplug
fucking.
it.
I don't know. It's like
It's a plug for LARPing. Everybody should
yeah,
try it.
yeah, that's what I'm like.
If you're a LARPer and you're listening to this, please get a hold of me somehow. I want to find a way to get you here, via phone or something like that, and see what
How you
your-
feel about the word LARP?
No, not. I just
Oh, okay.
want to see their experience.
It's
'Cause I
not as
want- I
bad
know
as
s-
moist.
Yeah, me and Sam have talked
Oh.
about it a little bit more, or a little bit before, and I still want to hear more about his LARPing. But if anybody else is out there that can disprove Sam, that'd be great. Because Professor Sam,
Disprove me how on
I
that
don't-
I
I
like
don't know.
LARPing, and I think it's a good blend between theater and like
no,
active.
exactly,
Prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong that it's both theatrical and
Change my mind.
It's like, yeah,
to some
LARP,
degree or
LARPing is
another.
amazing. Change my mind.
Yeah. I wish I had a coffee cup to raise.
So, sorry to be derailing though, but
But no, for me, a lot of, at least the stuff I write, comes out of strong emotion, and is fueled by that. And so a lot of times, all that stuff at least it feels really personal. And it's not stuff that I would generally share. Like in those moments, I'm writing very much so just for myself. And I should write this shit down on paper so I can't lose it with the phone or something like that. So
You have
maybe
that's also like-
someday when I'm old and don't give any more fucks at all, because let's be honest, when you're young, you just kind of give fucks.
yeah.
I can compile all this stuff, and maybe somewhere in there'll be some piece of my emotional content that somebody can relate to in a way that helps them or changes them or affects them in some way, which is I think what everybody who creates is really going for. They want to put their emotional content down into something physical or metaphysical, like words.
Yeah.
And in that way, they can share it, and other people can feel it or become vulnerable by it.
A way to transmute something tragic or something really heavy into something that can be healing for simultaneously for both yourself and for somebody else.
Well, and honestly, using your phone as your medium in which you create art is actually kind of like a modern mandala, to say the least. You know, it's like you put all this art, all this effort into putting all this art into this thing, and you focus on it, and then at the end of it, you just sweep it away, you ruin it, and it's gone. And in that sense, it's kind of more artistic and more, I mean, it's not productive for anybody else, but it's more...
Yeah, I feel that.
There's something admirable about the mandala kind of side of it, where
I like to build rock cairns in the stream, knowing that they'll be knocked down by the... When I really feel like something, like especially something really painful, like emotionally painful for me, that's like my go-to thing, is to go down to the creek and stack like the biggest rocks I can somewhere where they'll be washed away, and in some very real sense, I'm like putting that emotional content into those rocks and into that rock sculpture. And when the river comes and washes it away, it takes that feeling with it.
And it's kind of
and when I see the rocks that I use scattered about, I feel catharsism from it, for sure.
I always use the, like, you ever built a snowman just to tear it down? You know what I mean? Like, now that you got it there, you like tackle it and just destroy the whole thing. It's like, that's a really nice snowman.
Sean, do you want to build a snowman?
Do you want to build a snowman?
I always want to build snowman.
Now people will know that this podcast is for kids too.
Brought to you by...
Oh, I'm glad I did.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. We will plug anything.
Podcast name, Shameless Plug.
It can't be for kids now.
What kind of plug?
Black Sheep. Black Sheep and Bad Apples.
Black Sheep and Bad Apples is honestly the one that I'm voting for.
I haven't heard anything, but I don't mean to toot my own horn or like.
But you're gonna.
You know, vote for Pedro.
Yeah.
You know?
You guys realize both are plurals, though, right?
That's the point. It's because we're all black sheep and we're all bad apples. The podcast was going to be called With Friends Like These, implying that you guys are cunts, like terrible people.
With
but
friends
since
like
that's already
these,
taken,
who needs enemies?
Yeah, enemies.
Enemies.
That's almost a better title.
Enemies and
I like that as a
enemies.
working title.
Oh,
Why
my
do I
friend
always
once long
realize
ago
what the
had a
meaning
little
of these names are
desk
last?
placard that said
Right.
that.
Honestly,
I feel like that's how...
Do you want a real
You
answer, or do you
just
want
realized
to?
that?
No, I
Do
don't
you want me to
need
patronize you a little bit?
I didn't even hear what he said.
Ask the question again.
We are all horrible at talking and listening to each other.
Speak for yourself, Sean. You said, "Why am I always the last to
I heard
understand
him.
the metaphor?"
The metaphor for like friends like these, because you're a cunt.
Yeah.
That's geez.
So you,
Could you be on my podcast?
So I can
Friend.
answer that in two different ways. I can either be honest with you or I can patronize you as to
That's
why
your
you.
podcast. You can do whatever you want.
All right, so
Wow, he's getting all fucking hypey.
so I'm gonna do both. The patronizing answer is it's just, buddy, you weren't listening last week. You weren't listening anytime I talked to you about it, and that's just how it is. But the truth is, you're just dense. You're dense like lead.
I feel like you're leaning
I
back
gotta
and just
stick-
not listening. You're just like chilling. You're like, what should I say?
You're like, it's my studio.
when it's my
or
turn to
whatever.
talk about my creative process. And you know what? It's that point in the show.
You know what, Sean?
Go.
Tell me about.
All
your
right,
creative-
before
Tell
we
us
get
about
started on
your
this,
creative
No, we were
sorry.
about to, and then you
Dude, seriously
derailed
though,
this again.
I just want to bring this up
you're
because
deflecting.
that was the whole thing. Genreisms, like him catching on to the fucking point very last. Maybe it's because of his genreism. So he thinks of words and things in different ways.
It's true. I've heard
Yeah.
him literally when he's talking about manners. I've heard him say it. Oh no, he's talking about etiquette, and he's trying to say that's bad etiquette. That's bad etiquette. But he goes, that's bad grammar. It's bad grammar. Bad grammar.
Yeah, I like bad grammar.
You definitely
I
like bad
like-
grammar.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and not to knock.
It's very Lovecraft of you, actually, because that I've been reading Lovecraft, and that dude just made the fuck up out of words like all the time, all the time.
I guess I like the art of understanding.
and not saying.
So when I like explain something in a
people get
weird
it.
way where they're like, I don't know if that's actually how you're supposed to say it. I'm like, but did you understand? Like,
Did you
you
get it?
did completely know what I was getting.
Yeah, meaning and reference.
And that, and you're like, well, I completely
you cover that in,
understand.
like-
And I'm like, well, that's the point.
First philosophy class ever. Meaning and reference.
You took
We all get your meaning, even if your reference is skewed.
I mean, didn't Capote create a whole new way to like tell a story?
So I mean he I actually don't know enough about Truman Capote to be able to talk about that.
What?
I don't
thought
even know
about
what the fuck you're talking about.
I thought
All
about
right,
watching
so-
the documentary.
so-
He was a journalist in like the 40s.
What
or
was the
something.
first name?
Truman. I believe.
Oh.
Truman Capote. He's got a great name.
I mean, it's powerful.
Fucking A.
Yeah.
I thought
So-
that dude was a priest.
I
But
guess,
no,
I guess with reference to Capote is what I like
Potent.
about that and the whole like art of understanding is that's kind of how I like to do my creative process. Capote wrote a crazy story on a person that went through a very crazy life in jail, all these other things, but he put himself in that position to feel the emotional effect of that being, if that makes sense. He didn't know the story he was going to write. He just knew he needed to write this story, this emotional thing that is happening and stuff like that. And I feel like he captured that part so well that the words were like almost secondary. Once he felt that, I don't know if you've ever like just been talking to somebody and got an emotional, overwhelming thing, and when you said something, it just, for some odd reason, you couldn't ever say it again. It just came out perfect. That's kind of how I like to try and do creative processing. So what I'll do is throw myself into a like emotional situation. Maybe it's drinking and smoking a little too much. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's heartbreak or whatever.
Are you talking about those moments where you're like sitting at home drunk as fuck and you're, oh, fuck
This will sound great.
Fuck it. I'm gonna fuck this. I'm gonna tell them how I really feel.
But
Sitting at home alone.
no,
we've
but
all
maybe
done
in that
sitting
moment
with
while
each
I'm
other.
drunk as fuck, I realize that I'm really depressed and upset or sad or whatever that is about an ex-girlfriend or a loss of a dog or whatever a natural just being as a state of a person is.
You're my boy, Mickey.
Yeah. Plug.
This is going so well. Thank you guys.
So what I like to do is throw myself in that emotional state, and when I feel it though, then I like to grab the guitar and start playing because I've always kind of had that theory of if you're going through an emotional situation and that like apply it to something creative.
Mhm.
So what I like to do is almost like personally throw myself into an emotional situation, then use that thing I'm trying to get over, that emotional like
that emotional content.
yeah,
that
that
you
content, and then like apply it to say the guitar.
Yeah.
So I pick up the guitar and I start strumming the thing, pissed off, doing this, doing that, until I hit this chord pattern that I'm like, and it like relates.
There
It
it
just
is.
clicks. Like whatever I just played right there with whatever I was just free singing over or something, click this emotion. It'll bring tears to my eyes. It'll like make me laugh. It'll make me run around. It'll make me have to drop the guitar or something and just be like, fuck, I'm just still angry type of shit. But that's kind of when I realized that that's the emotion that needs to be created. So I'll remember that part. And then it's almost the opposite of like what Ron was saying and kind of what Sam was getting at is like writing the lyrics first. I almost do that completely last because it's almost like like I was saying with the Capote thing, if you get into the emotional state, the words just come. Once I create that feeling, it's almost easy for me to explain it because I'm like, dude, you don't. I feel exactly
and then
like
your music
this when I
conveys
play
what you're
it.
trying to say.
So
as
then
well.
the words just kind of come out of my mouth that I couldn't explain before because I feel exactly the way I need to feel.
I was just struck by this thought when you started talking about how, sort of the words are secondary. That there's so much music that I listen to as an audience, as an audience member, not
Consumer.
as a consumer, where looking at it through that filter, like the words being said are almost secondary to like the emotional content of the music itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because I feel
like,
the same way.
You're like, well, what do these words really mean? You almost have to think of the words abstractly somehow, and then there's some sub meaning to the words, but the emotional expression of the song is driven by that tonality of the words. You could be going blah blah blah, you know what I mean?
No,
and
yeah.
it would be
Yeah,
the
your
same
your
because the
cadence
music
and
is
on how you
pushing
deliver.
the
Almost
emotion.
like the tonality of the entire thing is what's creating this emotion.
Well,
Not
and it's the
necessarily-
emotional tone, I think, is what you're trying to get to.
Right, yeah.
And it's almost like if you can create an emotion, and then I can say, that feeling like this, and I say, when you get the shivers because you're scared, and you're like, oh, I know that feeling. What's that feel like? If I play a chord or construct a song that gives you the shivers because the way it feels, then I only need to explain the story behind the shiver.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right.
Like, why are you shivering right now? Well,
Right. Why
because
is this
it-
give you goosebumps?
exactly. Now I'm just trying to pick out why I'm going to give you the goosebumps today. And maybe that's because the emotional state I'm relating to at the moment. Maybe I need to pick a story or whatever and stuff like that. But then that's where it's like, am I trying to make a Halloween song? Am I like literally shivering because I feel scared in this moment that we can all relate to, if that makes sense, type of deal where you're like, ooh, I get the goosebumps doing that, or whatever a relative feeling is, you know what I mean?
And
That's
so, more directed towards you, but I want the rest of you guys to think about it. How do you ever do collaborations, Casey? Like collaborate on a poem or prose or something to that effect?
I have done collaborations with actual artwork, paintings. I've looked at a piece and like convey I can't even
like the image conveys something to you.
Yeah.
That you feel and
and be able to write down what this image is expressing. And I've had artists tell me that I put into words what they could only paint.
Yeah.
And have this beautiful like tone set with that.
So how would
like-
you feel about collaborating with other poets or musicians?
Well, I would love to.
You want to do it right now?
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do it.
How do you guys feel about collaborating?
So I like
Do a
in
little-
the past actually would love to like I've actually written things and I've thought like, wow, I would love to hear what Merritt Parcel could
Plug.
could do with these words, what melody or what tune, what like instead of like what Sean's saying, like putting the music first and then the lyrics second. I oftentimes like have written things and I'm like, wow, it feels like so profound. It feels like just like it would make an impact. It makes an impact in itself, but like having that collaboration with a melody in place too.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to do that. We have a good friend. We all have a good friend, Samantha.
Oh, yeah,
She's a phenomenal artist.
Samantha Dawn.
Samantha Dawn.
Yeah.
Plug. You can find
her.
her
I
on
think her Instagram
Art
is
Vibrations
Art
on
Vibration.
Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've discussed collaborating a few times, and it's definitely something that I would like to see in the works and to put forth more effort with because that girl is amazing, and every time I look at her art, I think of a million words to write to her paintings.
Yeah, Sean's dad actually, not lyrically inspired me, but there was a drawing that he was doing. He might have finished it by now. I can't remember, but he was doing a painting of just like a schematic or a drawing rather of a schematic on a piece of white paper, and he was putting all the tools that he would use in any given like construction material or any construction job. And when I first walked by it, it just looked exactly like that, schematics with tools and stuff. But after looking into it, it's really interesting how he shaped everything, and like the hammer that's supposed to be the size of the paper is shrunk down like a third of the size, and like it for me, there's only been a handful of times where I've seen visual art that's so striking that I can't look away from it. And I feel the same way about Sam's work. Mm-hmm. You just like there's been pieces of hers where I've seen and I just like I wanted as like at the very least a sticker to put on something that I cherish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, Ron, what do you like about collaboration? Do you have any techniques? I know we work as a band, but
dude, fuck! Like the whole band collaboration thing. Like as far as like what I bring to the table.
Just tears. Just tears.
Yeah, like y'all make everything fucking greater. You know, the working in a group always fucking kind of brings the team together and fucking adds things that you wouldn't have heard when you were thinking of it.
I think that your group dynamic and your camaraderie and just like watching you guys all grow together as a band has definitely been a huge part of inspiring me to do what I'm doing now, because we've all gone through life. Like life has been like
kicked our ass a little bit.
It's kicked our ass. There's been highs and lows as it does for everybody.
Yeah, life,
it's life.
That's what life does.
And
it's the punching bag that keeps swinging back at you.
But having friends like these is like
Plug?
That's not the plug.
we can't do that.
Shit.
But having you
take back a plug?
guys as friends has been a huge just inspiration in and of itself.
Thank you.
And seeing you guys be vulnerable and be able to kind of tell your story the way you guys do has allowed me to want to share that with people as well.
Speaking of wanting to share, have you decided on a poem? So we were talking. Casey's a good friend of mine, and we work together.
If you read one, I'll read one.
Ooh, I like that. So again, me and Casey are good friends. We've talked about her poems a little bit, and she's got she said she wanted to recite a dirty poem, like a little
Hydrate or gyrate, baby.
I thought we agreed you'd never say that again.
That was before we started recording.
Oh,
you had to get one in.
Sheboygan.
And then
Keep it clean, kids.
yeah. So are you feeling comfortable enough doing the podcast to want to recite us something?
Let me find.
I'll let you peruse a little bit.
Let me search through my database.
So
here.
while Casey's searching, Sean, I want to talk to you about how things have changed.
She's also
with,
looking in her phone.
Yeah.
Just like to point that out. So I don't feel so bad anymore.
I did.
Yeah.
That's actually
I might
how
be jealous of your typewriter, but I still see that
Well,
you use modern conveniences.
I started off actually writing in my phone as well on the notepad thing,
Yeah.
and I had the same exact experience where I broke my phone and lost all this artwork. And
So not to detract, I just want you to continue perusing because I really want to hear it. But Sean, while we're waiting on Casey, tell me how's your band experience changed from being Merit Parcel as the founder and the whole band? How's collaboration now with the rest of the band, and how do you feel the interaction is going?
So I guess what I like about collaboration, that was kind of the whole main project of Merit Parcel, I feel like, to begin with. It's overwhelming at times, but it's almost the like adrenaline rush of what you get from that, because what I really enjoy is the like open table. I like when you have a potluck and you don't know what the food's going to be. You know what I mean? Like it's just bring a dish.
Martha said
And
she was going to bring something.
You're
good.
only invited to the potluck, if that makes sense.
Right.
So it's like, I like the idea of creating some music out there that I feel is fundamentally worthwhile in my own, I guess, musicianship and stuff, but it could be better with collaboration. So
Yeah.
I like to put out the table and be like, all right, potluck.
Yeah,
I want
two
you to
minds are
come,
better
I
than
want you
one.
to come, I want you to come, and I
What
want
kind of cheese are we throwing on
exactly,
this burger?
and
We
that,
got
like I
Wagyu
want you to
beef,
bring
or we
a
doing
dish,
veggie
and then I
burgers
want us
tonight?
to critique how this potluck went.
Yeah.
And I want us to go, you know what, next week, let's do the same thing, but let's theme it like this.
So
Or
We keep
let's
trying to
do this.
outdo each week. The week before, like, oh yeah, first week everybody brought some like big ZDS kind of stuff.
Somebody
But then
got
the
some
next
mac
week,
salad
somebody
from
broke
the
out
grocery.
a
and
barbecue and
Yeah.
some burgers and hot dogs, and somebody else brought like
Everybody
homemade
kind of
coleslaw-
learns how they work
coleslaw and-
together. They're like, oh, you're the dessert person. Oh, you're the barbecue. Oh, you're the steak person. Oh, you like to bring the sides.
Right. We all
So-
found
Yeah,
out
we all
hey,
pick
and
up
then
each
you
other's
get this
slack kind of
encouragement
thing.
on like, you know, like, well, oh, I brought baked beans last time because I'm the sides person.
Yeah.
But then we all start to identify that, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
You know,
really quickly before we get into Casey's poem, because I'm very excited to do that. Would you say that your writing experience, would you say that it's been more challenging with a full band, but it's more rewarding versus doing it all by yourself and seeing where the creativity is going and not being surprised by it?
I feel the challenge almost lies in, and I kind of see it with the band, is I brought a, let's say, try to get I like the potluck reference here.
Yeah,
try to get the
keep
potluck
going.
rolling. So the first potluck, I probably had 3/4 of the dishes out on the table.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean, type of deal. But then
were
by
hosting.
the, you know, a year later type of deal, 2 years later, everybody's contributing now and stuff like that. So do I still enjoy the hosting? Do I still enjoy the being able to kind of lead the pack type of deal and keep that going? Yeah, but that's kind of what I was shooting for, because now it's like an arguable, like, oh, you want to come to art potluck? Oh, shit, like...
Oh.
Well, like,
You better bring some meat.
This is a thing. It's like, damn, this is like,
Well,
how'd you throw this together? And it's like, well, we just spent 2 years working on it.
Right.
Like, you know, everybody's been contributing and building that and stuff. And it's like, the first potluck's probably going to be kind of whatever.
It was dismal,
you
to
know,
say the
type of
least.
deal. But like,
before we get into poetry reading and stuff like that, I think that I just wanted to say that for me, I've spent a lot of my time over the years. You know, I'm 38. I've only been in the band, you know,
More or less a year and a half.
2 years. But
Well,
like
we made the
hanging out.
joke that you were the manager at one point.
Yeah, but I mean, just like hanging out as a group
Oh, yeah,
since
yeah.
sort of the
beginning.
iteration of Merit Parcel with the members as they
Yeah.
are. And while I wasn't doing very much at the start, but hanging out, I did, like, there was that critiquing thing, right? But before
sounds like
that,
shit. Run it again.
right? Yeah, or like, hey, you know, from the consumer point of view, like, maybe don't do that, or maybe do this, or that thing you did was really good, right? And so I was just this like sounding board for you guys.
Yeah.
And that grew into other things, and now there's like a song on a record that I wrote, and like I play a fucking ditty on your Catharsis song and stuff like that, and sing on stage, and
kind of like the idea of we all kind of got together and it was like, well, what would make this the next best?
Yeah, how could we step
Right,
it up
and
from where it
the
is
next-
now?
like, if we all get
to use
together
the
for
potluck
this
analogy,
again.
I was just the guy bringing the beer for fucking ever.
But then you're like, yo, I can
but-
cook steaks pretty good.
Right.
Or I can run the grill pretty decent. And we're all like, oh, wait, he likes it. And
Well, yeah, my point was this: is that before Merit Parcel and my involvement here, all my creative process was very singular and solo. Outside of like theater in high school, which is a creative process. It's almost like a team coloring a coloring book. You know what I mean? The lines are already there. You're doing a play. Like the set needs to do this. I've just found it, you know, just very interesting to work in this dynamic with this. We became like a family. You know, we've got like Big Brother Taylor, who's off doing cool stuff, and like shows up and like, you know, like he has really awesome suggestions for stuff, but isn't like bossy. He doesn't. It's not his thing. And
The
and
healthy
then,
nudge. Yeah.
yeah, the healthy
exactly.
nudge, and then we got like James, who's like everybody's kid brother in some way. He's just like, you know, he's super talented and an amazing drummer, and just sort of like very quirky and in his own like way.
but you love to punch him in the shoulder.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
you know,
right,
like-
right. You know, I might, you know, we all have to give him a hard time, but you know, God help anybody that fucks with James.
Yeah.
You know, while with all the band standing there.
Anyway,
And your little dad moments and all these things. So just that dynamic that Casey was saying. Just like watching that form and being a part of that is like really, I felt made me grow as somebody in my creative way.
And not to
We all help
not
each
to
other.
not to make it sound weird, but it's like a fraternity of brothers in the sense of the not like the collegiate fraternity, but where we get together. We've got this.
I think the
boys
Greeks
club
said
called
Philadelphia.
Let's get out the synonym finder. I don't like fraternity. That's, you know.
Anyway,
No, but
anyway,
Philadelphia.
Casey's from the
Brotherly
poem.
love.
Casey McWilliams at CaseyYouDidn'tKnow.com. Just kidding.
Plug.
Casey, please share with us.
All right. This is one I wrote a while ago, but it's not particularly dirty.
I mean, it's
but,
your art.
It's okay.
Okay.
It'll be dirty enough.
Alluring thoughts unequivocally on you, tasting lips, touching spines, torn shirts, bent backs, reality settling. Exhaling ecstasy, inhaling intimacy. Arouse my soul, dust me off, open me up, grasp the true connotations of the words that mold me.
Yeah.
Fuck, that wasn't dirty? Jesus.
I don't know if I'm
I
inside
wouldn't
or
call
out.
it dirty. I would call
Intimate.
Intellectually penetrative.
intimate and passionate for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
I would say intimately penetrative.
That's right.
Don't ever say
Wow,
penetrative again.
that was a
Damn.
Penetrative is not in and of
stop.
itself a bad
Just-
word.
No,
We tried to draw a hard line and you crossed it.
Needles
hard.
that deliver morphine are penetrative.
you can't.
Bro, that's
No,
You guys
alright.
can't
even
see this
worse
because we're not
somehow.
filming.
Sex is cool, but drugs are bad, okay?
You guys didn't get to see this, but when I
At
when
least
I
it's
said
hard.
that, Sean like touched his head like an oh god. Like,
He did
son of-
his like concerned father
yeah.
head touch.
Which is the role.
Which
that
is
he
like
brings.
step 1 before step 2, which is where he does his spin around pace thing. And then step 3 is he yells at us like we're his kids.
Yeah,
And
that'll
that's
come
why
later
we're a
during
family.
practice.
Somebody's got to keep this family together.
Damn it, just don't throw your shoes.
Well, I promised Casey that if
Wait.
she read one, I would read one. So
The chata? You never had the chata?
I don't even know what that
The-
is.
Oh, dude, maybe it's just my descent or what are
The horchata?
Dude, no,
Horchata?
fucking grandma would throw the chata when you're acting up in the
Chancla.
back. But
It's called a chancla.
what?
How is it that the Chico
Chancla.
kid?
Sandal is
flip-flop.
chancla.
I thought you
Oh,
were
I'm just
Japanese.
stupid.
Wait, he's not Japanese. I thought you were
Wait.
like a Japanese emo kid.
Well,
Like a chubby Japanese emo.
the
kid.
haircut would suggest so.
Because if you don't know Ron, he's got this like he's husky. You know, he's
He's like a
So-
husky puppy.
Ron, are you trying
But
to
not
say
the
that your
breed.
grandma
Dude
used
ain't
to throw
starving to death
like
anytime
shoes
soon.
or sandals at you?
Yeah, we
You
were afraid of it. Okay, leave me alone.
The fear in your eyes that I just saw.
I'm
right
from
there
New
was-
York.
That
It was
was
a wooden
great.
spoon.
Before you even spoke yet, you
Is
had
it where
this
they cook
look
the
that
matzo
just
balls?
expelled this like, you don't know grandma. Look, and I know grandma.
No, Latin grandparents and Latin parents are
I
there.
like your grandma. She's a great lady, and
Yeah, for our
Also,
listeners,
shout
but-
out, Grandma Juanita. You're the best.
Juanita, we love you.
Plug.
Plug. We
Yeah,
gotta
no.
stop doing that though. It's gonna ruin the show. Unless you guys like it. You listening, if you like it, let me know.
if you heard a plug and it refers
Feedback
to you,
is-
please
is
get a hold of
welcome
us
and
on the
helpful.
comments or the
Yeah, and-
suggestions box.
Yeah, exactly.
Hashtag plug.
And by the way, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm actually disappointed in all of you who listened, which is not a whole lot of people.
What the
But
hell?
I only had like
Yo, don't talk about
I
the
don't-
fans like
I
that.
know. I'm the only reason I'm saying it is because we've got our suggestion box pretty much open for the title of the podcast, and nobody's literally engaged it. Nobody said anything, and so like,
right.
That's
I'm gonna
because
plug
they
it
all
again. If you guys,
All right.
Black sheep and bad apples, and they know that shit is the best. Because let's be honest, mostly it's just our family listening at this point, and they're all like, "Oh yeah,
So here,
you guys."
they're definitely that.
maybe we should make a little thing. If you mail the topic you want to talk about to P.O. Box 364, Hayfork, California, with tag on the top, the subject line on the envelope.
The O'Brien Show is tentatively what
Name
we're
this
calling
show.
Name this show. Ooh, I
Something like
it.
that.
I
Name the
like
show.
it.
We'll go with that.
Name the show.
Then
Care of Fourth Corner.
Yep.
So what we're gonna do?
Then we will bring you up on the next
Right.
cast after we
Please
receive
don't
that.
send nudes.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually officially open this.
Wait.
We're gonna stop for a minute. We're gonna officially open this. Our next episode is gonna come out next Wednesday. It's more likely gonna be Thursday for people on the East Coast. Depends on our upload time and your download time. But what I want to do is at the end of next episode, the invitation is going to be open until the week after, the Wednesday after. And at which point I will officially announce that we are done with what I'm calling the rough draft, the first 3 episodes of the Lauren O'Brien show.
Are we gonna try and get organized after?
After
wait. Did we get one
4?
more? Oh,
yeah, episode 4 is
organized?
where we're officially titling the show. We're cracking down. We're going for it.
Can we not call it like episode 4? Because that just feels like George Lucas-y to me, and fuck that guy.
No. It's like
But
our
that
last
means
episode.
then we would have to put it out
After.
So like we would release the first 3. And then,
So like last episode before we recorded it and before we uploaded it, it was episode 1. Once we got it done and over with, we called it the pilots episode. We're gonna do the same tonight. I have no idea what we're gonna title this.
Does that mean actually the pilots episode is technically episode 4?
The first 10 episodes all got to be a P name.
Hold on, which episode?
Wouldn't that? I mean, if you're Star Warsing it, the very first
We're not
of the
Star
old
Warsing
ones was episode 4.
We're not doing that.
It's okay.
We're not doing that.
Okay.
Yeah. So episode 4, this is episode 2. Episode 3 will come out next Wednesday. The Wednesday after that is when we're going to officially announce the title of the show. We're going to get all of our guests officially dubbed. I'm going to push it through like iTunes and Spotify and all that stuff.
So what's the title of this episode?
That's what I was saying. We actually don't know what the title is until
Poets
after
is
we're
episode.
done. Well, we'll tentatively run with that. Because
The
We're all
live-
poets, every single one of us.
Yeah,
even though,
well,
like,
The
you guys
Live
don't write
Poet
poetry.
Society?
Well, I mean, being the narcissist, I'm also the showrunner too. So don't
Keep in
give me
mind.
ideas.
Like
No, but that is probably going to
Wow,
be the
are
title.
you okay?
I'm really not.
Okay.
But I do want to hear your poem.
Oh shit. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We could do that.
Yeah.
Could you take your
please.
top off first?
No, but these are snaps, so maybe in the middle of my poem I'll rip the front of my shirt open
Yeah.
in a dramatic fashion.
so you can
Yeah.
hear the visual that
I
we
had
have to
no
suffer.
idea
I'll
that
do it
you
close to
write
the
poetry.
microphone.
I'm already hard, so you don't got to do anything.
Okay.
Yeah,
This makes
I'm
me
good.
so
But
happy.
you still wouldn't.
I mean, I'll
You know-
finish.
marriage proposal.
You know, real quick, this is part of what I.
Damn,
this is
Sam.
part of why I love what I do and why I continue to love what I do, because I see it exposing like this poetic self in so many of my friends that I had no idea were even
Or even artistic.
artistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, other than like the b-boying and the LARPing, I had no idea that Sam was a poet. I didn't know that he.
You're just
he
full of
painted
surprises,
things. Yeah,
aren't you?
he's a bunch of surprises wrapped in a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of, can we hear your poem?
Yeah, sure. It doesn't have a title. I never titled this, but
Oh, what was the title of your poem, Casey?
I don't title a lot of my poems
yeah.
because that's part of the improv.
Yeah,
Like that's something you do when you're old and you go to compile all your
into a book or something.
into a book.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like the blah blah
I
blah.
do.
and
I
then
do
you just put a
personally
little
title
on
them
it.
for myself to like recognize them in my phone, for example. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm not searching through like just random words.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like reference names
but
in your
yeah.
contact list.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Starlight is a single point of origin, and we, such as starlight, share this disposition. A singular condition of the mind, behind shuttered eyes will lay, the cascading fussy of our decay, playing out the rhythm of pure need, sow it deep, oh my God, sow it deep. Keep reaping the rewards of the ego, affords the way, of course, that we go. And now you know.
Wow.
That was great. Thank you for
yeah.
sharing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Oh yeah.
Please.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm going to
That's-
do the high-pitched, awkward Ron voice because I'm embarrassed.
Dude, it's about time somebody else did
You know,
it. Jesus.
I'll share a poem then too. I gotta find it real quick.
Do it.
While
you
you're
won't.
finding it, you know, I want to just mention another good friend,
Please
two
do.
good friends of mine that are also improv poets and fantastic musicians, as well as our good friend Swampy,
Plug.
Swampy,
Michael
plug.
Lanier,
Swampy.
and
Swampster.
James Laughin.
Plug. James laughing.
Laughing. He's not laughing.
He's actually the
living.
one. He's actually the one who sold me my first typewriter that I brought back from New Orleans,
Of course,
where I
he
was
probably made a
actually.
sweet profit on it too.
Oh dear.
You know, he was actually
He's such
he was
a-
actually quite
such a gypsy. It's great.
he was actually quite on. He is a gypsy,
A
but
gypsy who helps people. Wasn't
Oh,
he like a EMT or a firefighter
He
at some
is.
point?
He
He's-
is.
so
Oh,
so he's a
wow.
gypsy hero. But You found your.
Yeah, I found my poem.
Okay.
Hero.
This one is,
Stars it is.
Ron. Cállate.
so this poem that I wrote was called it's called Some Days, and it's just about how some days like little stimuli can make you want to go home and feel weak and cry and like not do anything. Any kind of like mild stressor makes you just lose your mind, and then the other end of that feeling is like your like can you guys get your shit together for just a moment, Sam and Ron?
Oh, it's not even.
Anyway.
You know how it goes, Lauren.
Can't believe we're a band.
Ron.
Anyway, and so the opposite end of that spectrum is also like when you feel stimulated by this stressor, whatever it may be, you feel invigorated and emblazoned by it. And so the title of this poem is just called Some Days.
Let's hear it.
Some days I'm a candle, other days a fire. When the wind rolls in, it can steal my desire to burn at the wick, to illuminate the rider. Some days I'm a candle, and other days a fire. Some days I'm a candle, other days a fire. The wind rolls in, and I can stand higher. Unhindered rage putting lives on the wire. Some days I'm a candle, other days a fire. May you always see my mercy, never my wrath. Illuminating rooms, not a blazing path. Who am I, is what we all inquire. Well, some days I'm a candle, and other days a fire.
I feel threatened.
Do you? You should.
So good.
Wow,
You should
it's
also
just
feel
don't
like
fuck this podcast.
You should
up.
also feel.
Well,
involved.
for the listeners, you can see why I've been inspired by these guys just from the words that these guys have chosen to share with us.
Oh, well, it's about the time of the podcast that we're gonna close it up. Do you guys have any final comments, or should I fucking wrap this thing up like a Christmas present?
Man,
Dude,
I felt like that was pretty good. We didn't drift off into.
Yeah.
Somebody
Neverland.
should tell them about the complaint line.
I feel like before we get off, we gotta have one band beef of the week.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Who do we want to pick for band beef of the week?
It's got to change.
Does it have to change?
I mean,
It
fuck
doesn't-
Hobo
I don't
Johnson.
think it's
Hobo
All right,
Johnson.
all right, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Fucking
If you
hobo-ass
have any
Johnson,
complaints, if
motherfucker.
you're a LARPer, if you fucking just don't like poetry,
If you're an incel, you
anywhere
listen
you
to
want to
our
send
If
If
you're
you're
me
an incel, you can go
unsatisfied
to
with
bed forever.
anything, send that to Hobo Johnson.
at hotmail.com.
Hotmail.com.
Anyway, I want to
Or
thank my
hit up his
guest.
Instagram.
I want to thank my guest this week, Casey McWilliams. It's just been a pleasure. Thank you for tolerating our shit and participating. And as always, Sean over here at Fourth Corner Productions, who's putting this whole thing on because he's a little sweetheart. I want to thank you, Sam, Ron. Honestly, all you guys, I really can't do this without you. So I thank you guys so much for being here. I feel like this podcast
I mean, you could,
has gone-
but it wouldn't be fun.
it wouldn't be. It'd be terrible. But yeah, just thank you guys for being here. I feel like we're finally done and over with. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.
And we will see you guys next week.
Well, hear you. You'll hear us.
You'll hear us next week.
Does Sam's dog still have a priapism?
No.